Hi guys, I'm here to bring you your This Week at Axis video for the week of March 23rd to March 27th. So this is week 4, our halfway point of our strongman cycle. So you're going to notice for a lot of our lifts that we are going to be kind of hitting our heavier sets. And then we're going to do what is considered like a wave cycle for most of our lifts. So this week we're kind of peaking and then we'll back off and build for another 4 weeks. So on Monday, we have 4 sets of 2 for our back squat. And then our workout is work for 3 minutes, rest for 1 minute, 4 times. And it is going to be in your 3-minute work period, 10 American kettlebell swings, 15 push-ups, 10 kettlebell curls, and then in the remaining time, you're going to do as many reps as possible of goblet squats. And your score is going to be the number of goblet squats completed each round. So with this workout this week, we are bumping up the load again for these movements. So on our swings, curls, and goblet squats. So the RX weight is 70 for men and 53 for women. But since we're increasing the load, we have built-in rest time to kind of account for this. And your goal is to keep the number of goblet squats you're completing each round pretty similar. It would be better if you got about the same number each round, or even maybe you got a little bit more each round, rather than you do a bunch round 1, but then you burned yourself out and you're not going to get nearly as many for rounds 2 through 4. So again, your goal is to go heavier than you did last week, if possible, with good form. But you can scale the weight and the reps as needed, and you can scale the push-ups to box push-ups. Then on Tuesday, we're going to have strict press 3x5. So this is going to be our last week of strict press. I'll go over it more next week, but we are going to start transitioning to different variations of overhead presses next week, now that we've kind of built a solid foundation with strict presses. Then we have 5 rounds for time of 8 pendlay rows, 10 dumbbell lateral raises, 7 weighted chin-ups, and 12 hanging leg raises. And the goal for this one is to use the same weight as last week, since last week there were 4 rounds in an EMOM format. This time we have 5 rounds for time, so a little more back-to-back, a little less rest. So try to use that same weight, but kind of build in that sense with more volume. You can scale the reps as needed. You can scale the weighted chin-ups to unweighted chin-ups, banded chin-ups, or chin-up grip ring rows. And you can scale those hanging leg raises to hanging knee raises or toes to rig. One thing I do want to point out about the hanging leg raises is these are meant to be a strict variation. So really, not only are you bringing your legs up under control, you should also be coming down under control. Unlike the toes to bar, where we kind of get that, what I would call the swing through, where you're letting your chest come in front of your shoulders and your feet are kind of coming back to get you a little momentum to bring your legs back up. That should not be happening in the hanging leg raises. You should be coming from a nice active hang, legs up, legs down under control. It should not be a legs up, swing through, and bring those legs up with momentum. So I did want to point that out. Then on Wednesday, we have Romanian deadlifts, 3 sets of 6 reps. And then we have our strongman prep circuit. Again, for the strongman circuit, try to go heavier. Maybe for the partner tire flips, maybe instead of you and your partner going at the same time, you're going to flip it back and forth to each other. So you're doing a little more of the work, getting stronger with those tire flips instead of sharing the load. Don't be afraid to go heavy on your kettlebell swings. Don't be afraid to go heavier on your gorilla rows and your clean and press. On that hollow hold, try to hold it a little longer. Thursday, we have 3 sets of 8 for our Zercher squats. So last week we did 3 sets of 8. This week we're going to do another 3 sets of 8. Try to go heavier if you can. Hopefully you guys are getting a little more comfortable with this movement since it is a new movement. And then for our workout, we have an EMOM 16. Minute 1 will be 20 dumbbell push-ups. Minute 2 will be 25-foot single arm overhead walking lunges. Minute 3 will be a 100-foot suitcase carry, so 50 feet with your left and 50 feet with your right. We're going to try to do that one outside, just like with our farmer's carry, weather dependent. And then minute 4 will be 25-foot single arm overhead walking lunges with your strong arm. So for scaling today, you can scale the dumbbell push-ups to strict push-ups or box push-ups, and you can scale the single arm overhead walking lunges to front rack lunges or unweighted lunges as needed. Try to do a heavier suitcase carry than we did week 1. So you're gonna have to look back a few weeks to see what you did for your suitcase carry during week 1. And try to stick with the same weight that you used for your front rack walking lunges last week, if you can, for the single arm overhead walking lunges. Then on Friday, we have bench press 4 sets of 2 reps. So this should be a heavy double. And then we're going to have that drop set on the final set. Again, if you were in that, 10 to 20 rep range for your drop set, you're probably in a good place. If you were closer to 10, stick with that weight. Try to get more reps in. If you were closer to 20 or over 20, go heavier on your drop set. Then we're going to have our 4 supersets workout. The rep scheme that's listed is 5 strict pull-ups, 20 weighted sit-ups, 10 dumbbell bent over rows, and 20 alternating dumbbell hammer curls. However, if you have been adding 1 rep each week, this week would be 8 strict pull-ups, 23 weighted sit-ups, 13 dumbbell bent over rows, and 26 alternating dumbbell hammer curls, and you can find that rep scheme listed in the athlete prep notes. That is all I have for your workouts for this week. If you have any questions, reach out to axisstrengthtraining@gmail.com. Don't forget about Bring a Friend Week, and don't forget to grab a friend and sign up for the Strongman competition.